Welcome to another episode of JW Basketball. Today we're going to be going over spacing and how you can create space on a pressure defender. Let's use this in a real game or a game situation. As I have a defender here, we're going to use the creating space move with our back towards the basket. There'll be a few different scenarios that we'll do in different episodes. There'll be a face up, there'll be a sideways space, but on this episode we're going to explain the spacing or how you create a space or create space with your back towards the basket. So in this scenario, say I'm coming off a screen maybe from the bottom part of the key. As I come off the bottom part of the key, usually there's a defender that's trailing you when you come out. So as the defender comes out and trail, you have one of these defenders that like putting a lot of pressure on the person that he's guarding, right? So those defenders that put a lot of pressure, they get really close to you when they're playing defense on you. Just so you'll understand how to do this kind of movement in a real game, you must realize that whenever two bodies are really, really close together, it gets to a point where you create a little bit of friction and there's going to be some bumping going on. So when you're physical with somebody and there's a physical defender and they play close to you, there's always going to be some type of bumping going on here, all right? Not too much bumping to the point where you're out of control or the defender is out of control. But some referees or some officials that you play against will let you play a little bit physical. All right, so if they do let you play a little bit physical, something like this, if you lean on somebody with your back or you bump through, you got defenders where you bump. If you bump them back, they're aggressive and they come back on you really, really heavy, okay? And this is fine. You must realize that every time you bump bodies with somebody, there's always going to be energy created, and that energy is going to create a spacing pattern. So the spacing pattern looks something like this. If you've ever bumped into somebody and you guys bump bodies with each other, probably you go into the person here and they go into you. If you bump hard enough, there's always space that's being created. So I'll give you a quick example. Me and him are going to bump. You have to bump pretty hard. If you bump soft, it's not really going to create any space. But if you bump hard enough and there's enough energy, something like this is going to happen. So watch. And through. All right? I exaggerated a little bit, but let me get it a little bit natural this time. So we'll do it again. Watch. So just a little bit of space is created there. This is the same thing that happens if you have your back towards the basket on somebody too. You don't want to get to the point where you have your back towards the person and you bump out of control, because if you bump out of control and this person falls the right way, there's going to be some type of charging situation, all right? But if they're bumping at you and you're bumping back at them and it's a kind of an aggressive bump, there's going to be a space that's going to be created. So let's try that a little bit. He comes through, he's playing defense on me, I bump, space created here. All right, same thing again. He bumps through, I bump space, okay? Once this space is created, if you extend your body low enough, you'll be able to get by this defender and go by him to the basket or create enough space to make a move to turn your body face up to the basket. You might not have enough room to turn this way. He comes back. Or turn this way, okay, because the defender's there. So you want to be able to bump through. Once you bump the person and you create that space, you want to make your move right when the defender, or you hit the defender and you create the space. This is when you want to make your move, right about here. So you bump, and right when the person bumps back is when you want to make your move. You don't want to wait too long, because if you wait too long to make your move, as you bump and you don't make your move, the defender's already back there, and you can't make your move anymore because there's no space here. So you want to make your move right when you're here, you're playing, and you bump through right there, okay? There's enough space to make your move to go to the basket. There's 3 steps to this move. There's bump, swing, and explosion. The first part of the move is bump here, where I bump the defender, and once I bump the defender, this creates the space. Okay, make sure when you make your bump, it's not too aggressive, so you won't get an offensive foul. But as the defender bumps at you, you can bump back at him. So this is the first part. The second part is the swing through. If you bump and you wait too long, when you create the space to close back up, and you're not going to be able to make your swing. So as you bump through on the second step, you need to be able to create the space and then swing through. As you swing through, you want to get your head as low as possible and swing through the defender to the basket. This swing has to be very powerful. It can't be a halfway swing. It has to be a full intense, 100% swing through. So as you swing, you want to swing the ball low, get your head low, and swing through on the defender. Usually a lot of defenders are going to be playing their hands up here. So when you make your bump through and you hit, you'll be able to swing through their body. Or even if they're playing with their hands in this area, which is a little bit lower, if you bump hard enough, you'll still be able to swing and get through on the defender. Alright? Third part, when we go through this, is the explosion movement. If you do not explode and you swing, then you're only going to probably get halfway by the defender, not even halfway. You might get here. So all the steps that you use to make yourself open is going to be useless because you don't use the third and final step, which is the explosion. So first you bump, swing through, and explode. So you get by the defender, so you can make the move a positive move, and you can create more space to get by this defender to either make a pass or make a basket. All right, so let's go through all three of the movements here. From this area, bump, bump, create space, swing through, and explode. Finish my basket. Let's go all together without explanation, so I'll show you how it looks in a real game. And obviously, this is coming off a pass off somebody from the wing, or maybe at the top part of the basket. Right side, left side, could be at the baseline or opposite baseline. So, something like this. And through. Quick. And if you notice, when I make my move here, I don't hesitate on my defender. Once I create that space and I feel it, I don't wait for my defender to come back and close the gap on the space. I bump once, maybe twice, hit, and then immediately go through to the basket. So, it's creating the space, bumping the defender, swinging through, and exploding on the basket. Work on these as much as possible so when you have to face somebody and use it, you'll be comfortable with it, and the timing for this move is extremely important. Everybody doesn't move the same. Some defenders play defense a little bit different. So as long as you play on somebody, you get to the point where you know their rhythms when they bump you and when you're going to bump them, and that'll help you create space a lot easier. Make sure you go home and practice this drill. The more times you repeat it, the more times you'll be successful if you want to use it as somebody in a real game. Until next time, stay tuned for more JW basketball episodes. Keep practicing.